you could do it all.
You can
Do it all, baby.
And yes, welcome back, everybody, to the Metro Icon Podcast. I am Shawn Kay, the Showman,
And I'm
alongside,
Tubad.
yes, right, my man, Tubad. Day 2 here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Your new hometown and new residence for Tubad. Made the trip out here. We did episode 2, and now it's episode 3. The last of our installments before we jump into our interviews in episode 4, which I'm
I
excited.
don't know if they're ready for that.
I don't know,
We
but
got
you
some
know,
hot fire.
regardless if you're ready or not, it's coming, y'all. So you better be ready for it. And episode 4 is gonna be our top 2 finalists of Metro Icon, Sir Scooter Nix.
Scooter Nix in the building.
That is going to be a conversation, man, and I'm excited for him to talk about his story a little bit. But that is for the future. Little foreshadow. This episode, we're actually going to be talking about, I think, a very important subject matter, man. Passion versus vanity.
Ooh, that's a tough one right there, man.
It is. I feel like it is one of the biggest conflicting pieces of any entertainer's journey. Like, is passion versus vanity, because it's so easy. I mean, you can have that passion, but it's so easy for the vanity to take over.
I mean, I think everybody starts in a vain place because you're doing it for you. I think definitely you got to get to a place where it's not just for you; it's to touch other people. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you know what? And it's like, I think that the problem is people tend to, I mean, they'll have like a long-term goal of like where they want to reach, but I believe that it's your own inner vanity that really helps to dictate where that journey goes. And I think that sometimes a lot of it allows somebody to get in their own way.
Okay, so let's talk back to like the 60s and a little bit before. You hear about this idea of someone being a diva. And I think sometimes as artists we get these glassy eyes about what things like that mean. And you're like, oh man, the olden days. And so you'll hear ladies and be like, oh yeah, I'm just a diva. And it's supposed to be a positive thing. But when it comes down to it, like, who wants to work with you?
Right. And I understand also to the mind of an artist, right? Because it's just on a plane that is not really commonly understood. So I get the whole ideology of the diva-esque, like being a diva and all that. And especially if you've attained a certain level of success, a lot of people are like, they kind of operate on this, like, who's going to tell me anything type of thing, right?
I mean, and again, that goes back to art being a subjective thing. And, you can't tell somebody what their art form is. You got to speak your truth. But at the same time, don't tread on people while you're doing that.
Oh my God. Do not tread on people. Listen, if your success is contingent on stepping over or hurting someone else, like, is that really the process of that path? Like, is that what you're supposed to do? And I think that people get caught up, and I think people get caught up in their own way, believing that they have to like almost put down one to build up yourself.
I think that comes from a place of people thinking that success is a scarce thing. And there's enough out here in this world for everyone to win. Like, it's not a win-lose scenario. It really can be a win-win. So, treating people good, like, that's important. Like,
absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. Kindness matters. Kindness matters everywhere. You have to be kind to everybody. I'm curious with you, man, because, I've done, a fair amount of, events like across North America and whatnot. You've traveled, like, I think internationally, right? And you've done tours. And as well, like, my team has not been as big as like the bands, that you've worked with. You've had a lot more human and artist energy, and you have to deal with larger groups of musicians. Has there ever been like a position where, you just like somebody's like ego is just so out of whack where you're like, yo, like regardless of your vibe with maybe the rest of the crew, it's just so hard for you to be placed because of one person's ego.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna name no names,
Yeah.
but I've been in situations where I'm on tour with people and the energy is so wrong. Like it was a situation where I was touring with a band and we were literally driving from Chicago to I think it was like Sacramento or something like that.
That's a long drive.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and the vibe was so bad in the band that I was like, "You know what? I'm not driving with you guys. I'm gonna pay for myself to fly there just so I don't have to deal with you people."
Wow. Well, I mean, that's a long ass drive, and you're talking about that's an overnight drive too. You can't
Um,
do that in one
they
shot.
did it in like 2, 3 days,
Yeah.
which, my dad's a truck driver, so I would've just did it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just like the thing about it is like when you're touring with people, like you're in people's space so much, that you want it to be a good situation. You don't wanna, like, cause even with the best of like, we could be the best of friends, after 30 days, you're gonna get on each other's nerves a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But if the energy starts out horrible.
Yeah. It's only gonna get worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you're like, I don't want it to get here. Let me fly my ass.
Exactly.
I feel that. I feel that. And ultimately, like, I think that you could, everyone has a like, a dynamic, and you can definitely connect with, certain individuals, but absolutely, like, you spend enough time with somebody, and especially like in very personal situations,
Yeah,
right? Like
I mean,
it could
shoot.
be as annoying as like how they like, smack their lips when they eat food or something like that. Little ticks and
I
triggers.
mean, and if you're in the car long enough with somebody, somebody's gonna pass gas. It's gonna happen.
Hey man, I always say farts come from the heart, and that everybody does it.
Better out than in.
Better out than in, I always say.
Hey man, hey.
But the thing is that, man, it's just that I live by two mantras. I live by two mantras. First one right here, I got the Bob Marley Bumblebee carrying the key, and I think I've said this on the episode before, but humble is key, like Bumble is bee, and I try to live by that truth because as much as you have in this game, you have to have an ego, you have to have some
Mhm.
ego, you have to have confidence, you have to believe in yourself,
Yeah, for sure.
but having humility and being humble in as many in pretty much all situations is, I feel like, so important. And I feel like a lot of artists have kind of lost that ideology, or don't really even truly understand what it means to be humble.
Well, that's the thing. I don't feel like they've lost it. I feel like the problem is that it has been, how do I put this? Marketed to us as artists to not be more humble. Even
Yes,
if the person who
especially in the hip hop game. I feel like the hip hop game definitely takes away that element.
I mean, yeah, it's a very braggadocious
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the marketed things are very braggadocious, even if some of the people might not be that way in real life.
Yeah.
Like, shoot, J. Cole's like chill as heck. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm, mhm.
He could be riding around on
But I
Lambos.
mean,
He rides around on bikes.
but I
You
feel
know?
like J. Cole though has reflected his like rhymes and his lines like in this new wave and path that he's found for himself. Because I know that I listened to a lot of J. Cole interviews, and it's like two different people of when he started and like where he is now. And I feel like where he is now is really just interconnected with himself and the world around him. And ultimately I feel like his lines, and yeah, he might call people out, in certain situations, but I feel like it's not as braggadocious. It's more so of understanding what you're capable of. And so it's just I don't know. And then again, it's subjective and perception.
Well, when it comes to J. Cole, I watch a lot of interviews
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't know, I'm one of those people who like, even if someone's like, oh my gosh, they're my idol, Kanye West being one of them, you know what I'm saying? I have to break them down and turn them into a real person because at the end of the day, they're a real person. They're
Right.
not God.
Right.
You can get to their level. You can do anything that they do. And so with J. Cole, one of the things is that like he was trying to get on at a point.
Hmm.
And like, some of the major artists like knew who he was and they were like, "Oh yeah, I love what you do." And they were just waiting for people to catch on that he was dope. and like those first like one or two albums, like he put out some stuff and he was like really being braggadocious and all this and that. And they're like, and folks are like looking at him like being like,
Who
yo,
are you?
you're no, you're the next one. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. And
Yeah.
so I feel like later on, like after that first, second album, he's like, okay, I can just be me.
Have you ever heard, because I Jay-Z is the one that signed J. Cole, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And have you ever heard, how when Jay-Z heard of J. Cole and then, like, when he signed him, he was just like, "Man, listen, I heard him," and he was, like, absolutely fire, and he's like, "But I need to keep an eye on him, so I'm just gonna sign him," listen, because I don't want no problems, and I'm
I
like,
mean, but that's how it is. I mean, like I mean, and this is on another level. I feel like when it comes to labels, I'm not saying that I would never sign to a label, but at the same time, they're paying you to get a piece of your future.
"Mhm,
You
mhm,
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and shoot, young Dolph, what he was saying, he was just like, sometimes you gotta believe in yourself and not take that 10 million now because it might be worth 100 million later.
yes, oh my god, yes," and it's like, the concept of being your own independent label, right? And not going under the big hand of, like, those larger labels and stuff like that, just pretty much you sign your soul to them, and you don't know
Yeah.
what your future entails, and ultimately, you're just helping to feed a larger hand to people who don't need the bag because they're already doing fine. But like, I feel like right now there's this new wave, and especially with like NFTs that are on the rise right now. I feel like there's this new wave of um, artist independence that is like starting to now be educated.
I mean, it's always been there. I think the thing that people don't realize, because then people talk totally negative about labels, but they have relationships that are past your lifetime. And so, like,
Yeah, that's true.
you can't have as many relationships as they have,
Hmm, hmm. With
as
that, yeah, you gotta
without,
you gotta build those connections.
exactly. So I mean, like, you can build them, but it's
Mhm.
gonna take some
It's gonna
time.
take more. Yeah,
So I mean, like, sometimes in certain situations, if you can work out the right deal, it makes sense because you're like, okay, cool, I can get these relationships now rather
mhm,
than waiting later,
mhm.
and I could build this business a little bit faster. So they're like a loan company with relationships.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's it's not all the way bad, but you gotta be smart about it, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
absolutely. And and then that which leads to my second mantra, which I don't have tatted on me, but it's a double acronym. And so it's entertainment's greatest obstacle is always the individual easing their godliness out. And so entertainment's greatest obstacle, ego, easing godliness out, ego. And I feel like ego plays such a card in what could be someone's climb, but really could be their downfall. And it's funny because when I started Do It All with my partners Sanu and Tim, we're the three of us, and we have checks and balances, right? No decision is ever left up in the air because there's always going to be two against one when it comes to maybe like a mixed perception or decision on something.
For sure.
And a lot of entertainment companies were built off the calamity of like this one DJ who blew up or started making a reputation, and then started his entertainment company, and then he would put DJs under him or on his roster that he'd contract out. But the company was run by one person's ego or one person's like self-centric view of what he needs to run the business. And then a lot of it is like they would get some clout and energy, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to run this game. I'm going to monopolize the game." And it's just like ultimately they got ahead of themselves, and years go by, and it's like they reach their plateau, and then it's kind of like regardless of his industry experience and years in the game, it's not going higher than that. And
I'm that might have, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that someone's in control of their narrative, but I think sometimes people forget that things change and you have to also be humble enough
mhm.
to see the next generation and understand that the next generation might see some things that you don't see coming
Absolutely.
and be willing to listen to them so that you can get the insight so that you can be so forward thinking to be able to be ready for the next thing that is coming.
And personally, like and everyone's entitled to be able to express their own personal narrative, but I believe that like not everyone's narrative is exactly the way they see it, in a sense of like the way they see their narrative or explaining their narrative might not be exactly that how that situation actually happened in reality. And sometimes you do need an outside perspective to really point things out, because you just filter your mind to see it a certain way, and then but the way you're acting or the way that you are like putting yourself out there is just not in the same exact light. Like I feel like I've conflicted with that within my career all like greatly, especially within balancing my cultural background in the Indian culture of where I come from, and what I'm doing a career that nobody now, you don't just hear about showman. You don't hear that word. I have to explain what the term of my career is. But let alone in the Indian community, you have some DJs and stuff, and then you have very, very few MCs, but not a showman. And so I figured myself as like the only one to do it. So like I sometimes, my ego comes, in the way, in a sense, because I just feel like no one's going to understand me, and no one's going to understand the struggles I go through, or what I have to try and balance, and who I got to try to please, or whatever. And I've had to come a long way of, I guess, not just self acceptance, but also just kind of understanding my own truth. And I think the biggest thing I did for myself, and God bless therapy, which everyone in the universe, I don't care how well in life you're doing, everyone needs therapy. But understanding, your mental health, but then, you know, when I came to the truth and realization that the number one person who I was lying to was myself in most situations. And when I stopped doing that, and sometimes you got to lie to a
Mm,
motherfucker,
mm.
sometimes you can't just tell the absolute truth to somebody. It just does more
Yeah,
hurt than it does
I
good.
I agree with that.
And
Yeah.
and so, but for myself, I stopped lying to myself. I started to understand situations in a way where to really take a step back and listen, and not just have a response to everything. And I felt like it invoked the most amount of change that's constantly evolving. But I think it's been producing the best version of myself.
You know what's
So,
crazy? So I have a very similar situation because I'm black in America, but I also grew up Muslim, and most people don't realize that. They look at me and they're like, "Oh man, this is
oof.
another Christian person." But being Islamic, you get this thing of not treading on people, not trying to hurt people
Mhm.
intentionally, and also like we don't curse a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like cursing isn't really a thing. You know what I'm saying? So like when it comes to my music, when it comes to like the things that I like to talk about in the art that I create. Like I try to still stick to those values, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I have drunk, but I'm not really a big drinker. When it comes to cursing, I don't really curse. But like when it comes to like, being an American, I'm a roller skater, like all of these things that I really believe in, like I want to talk about those things. And just because you don't express them like other people would express them, you know what I'm saying? At the same token, your truth is your truth.
Yep,
And
sir.
your truth, whether your background is different or not, is gonna connect with other people too.
That's real. I mean, and I feel that, man. And yeah, man, it's just like, I mean, for me, I'm a very expressive person, and I guess cursing is natural to me.
Yeah.
And I know that you have no judgment to
Yeah,
anybody,
no, not at all.
that who's a free speaker.
Mm-mm.
Um, and also seen you in situations where you're not drinking anything, but you can definitely be around crowds
And
that
that's
do
the
drink.
that's
That's like
the
son. It's like my boy Illest.
yeah.
Illest the same way. He doesn't drink.
And you know what? And there are I'm not perfect. There are times where I'm just like, yo, I need a drink. But like,
It's been a day.
but when it comes down to it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you're doing, you know what I'm saying? you should be able to do that. And when it comes to people doing what you don't want to do, shoot, just allow them to be them and you step back. You ain't got to judge them. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Everybody's on their path.
Absolutely. And man, the one heartbreaking situation is sometimes when people who experience problems with alcohol,
Yeah.
and they're trying to find their sobriety, but then they're around certain crowds, they're like, "Hey man, just it's just one shot. Take one shot." Like I
Ooh.
can't it irks me to my core sometimes because like for me personally, like say for example, if it's like regardless if it's, me smoking weed, which is not something that everybody does,
Yeah.
which I get. And I feel, and I understanding the science like around weed, like I know it's not for everybody, or it's like you have to have the right strand for it to actually help you. Otherwise, it's going to make you like, it can make you paranoid or, like lazy or whatever. But, same thing with alcohol. Some people just, they don't know how to control the vice.
So and that's crazy. So again, in Islam, alcohol, you're not supposed to do that. Weed, you're not supposed to do that. But like one of my big beliefs is that, I'm a big believer in God. I don't push that on everybody, but at the same time, big believer in God. And so when it comes down to it, my belief is everything that was put on this earth was here to help us in some sort of way. And
Absolutely.
so my whole thing is, if that helps you in that situation, like I might not know what medical situation that that's for. But if that helps you, cool. But at that same token, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't judge somebody for the demons that they have.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? The demons that they have are their demons, and you got some too. Don't be trying to be
Oh,
holier than down.
did you hear what he said? You might have them too. All right. You ain't perfect. All right. Them demons are hanging out with you,
Uh-huh.
disguised as angels.
You know,
No, that is so real, man. It's so real, so true. And it's funny when people like, I don't know. The whole conversation of like God. I was raised in a Christian household,
okay,
and my parents are traditionalistic and they're pretty conservative, but
yeah,
they're actually way like more like I guess call it liberal and immense, or I guess open-minded. They're
yeah,
more open-minded, especially with my lifestyle and things that I've chosen in my life.
mhm,
They've been way more accepting than how most Indian parents would be. And I got to
yeah, for
give
sure.
a lot of love and props to my parents, man, because even to this day, I'm 34. I'm gonna be turning 35 in less than a month.
Ooh,
35,
hey, that's a number right there, man.
man. Trust me, bro. And and it's like again, I might not have, no, I might not, but I definitely have
Yeah,
not
you going through your
attained.
midlife crisis right now?
No, hell no. But I was ready. I mean, listen, man, I was ready to let go of my 20s, bro.
Oh yeah,
I don't need to relive my 20s. I
yeah,
do not. Like I feel like I've done everything I needed to do. And granted, yes, I still have my demons,
yeah,
and I'm in a long distance relationship and the world's filled with beautiful people. But,
yeah. Mm.
ultimately it's just I've definitely found myself a lot more after my 30s. And with 30 is when I shaved my head.
Oh yeah,
And it's like, and I had hair, it's just the shoreline was coming up a little bit deeper,
he
as
was
the
like,
years
"Yo,
went by.
I'm gonna make the decision to give up this hair rather than life being like, hey, yo, it's gone."
No, well, no, you know what it was, man, and I kind of put this on my ego a little bit,
Yeah,
but my friends and my boys, we're all from Chicago, and your crew's gonna, you roast on each other, you
yeah,
give each other, but
exactly.
like the biggest thing though is like I get ripped up on my hair.
Hmm.
Like they make fun of me for like, balding and all that kind of stuff. And I was doing okay. I was maintaining, had my expensive shampoos and hair restoration things and hair treatments and all this kind of stuff. And it was looking full. It looked pretty full. It was actually the longest it has been since I was like, before 18 and stuff like that, or when I was like a kid. But I shaved when I made the decision I was going to shave my head on my 30th birthday. And it was funny because I threw this house party and I invited my barber. I paid him extra, but I was like, this might be the last time I pay this dude, So I invited him and then he gave the clippers to everybody. Everybody got to shave a piece off my head. And I did that as kind of like a symbolic gesture. But the real thing, man, is like after did it, that everyone was like, man, it's like, dude, I feel like this is you, like this is your look, and people were just like, they've accepted it right away. And for me, it was like I'm taking the one thing that the haters can say, I'm taking it off the table.
Are you losing your hair? Do you need Bose hair treatment? Call. No, I'm just I'm just
Well, I mean, but if you shave your head and you got a lumpy ass head, that might not help you either,
Hey,
you
you know
know?
what I'm saying? Hey, it's all good.
I'm just lucky I had a very caring Indian mother. And there's a practice Indian mothers, they, when after a baby is born, and grandmothers will do it to their grandkids, but they'll massage the head that first week as the newborn. They massage the head with their hands, and ultimately to create a rounder shape in the head.
So what you're saying is they massaged your hair off. See, you got to tell your mama and grandma and be like, "Look,
Listen,
man, y'all got
listen.
me."
I feel like I felt like they were looking out the best interest to make sure that I wasn't having no major dents or crazy little like lumpy, bumpy
Hey, you know what?
thumbs.
That's a good way to put it, man. They out here. They make
Looking
they
out.
massaged his head.
They were looking out,
You know what I'm saying?
But
He wouldn't look so fly.
I don't put it on those hands. I can never. I don't believe that it was my mother's Indian hands that made me one bald. I, you know, like my mama's hands are just too much a blessing. Even though they can sometimes be like nails on a chalkboard. That like they're so hardworking, but they're kind of like witches' hands. My mom's hands, because they're so
Hey,
hardworking.
hey, you know.
But like yes, like they, I'm grateful that I got that nice shaved head. And it was funny that the day after I got my head shaved, and I went home and walked in the house, my dad's like, "Oh, it looked pretty good." My mom looked right at me, didn't compliment me or anything. She just said, "Your head doesn't look that round if I didn't massage it in my own hands."
See,
I'm like,
ain't that for moms to be like, "Yo,
yeah, gotta give themselves the clout, don't they? Like, you just can't even be like, "Hey,
Well,
yeah,
I
you look
I
good,
remember when my
bald."
sister got her first tattoo. My mom, like, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you got a tattoo." But then a month or two later, my mom was like, "Oh yes, it was my idea."
What?
She like turned it into. I was just like, I
What?
was like, if I would have got the tattoo, it would have, I would have never saw the
And you
end of
don't
it.
have any tattoos, right?
I still don't. Not one.
I'm like,
Both of my parents have full back tats now.
no way.
And I
Isn't
am
it?
still.
But and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, isn't there some? Oh, I know Jewish people, like it's very much against their religion to get a
It
tattoo.
is. I mean, and that's kind of the thing. You know what I'm saying? It is in Islam. Like you're not supposed to get tattoos. You're not supposed to smoke weed. You're not supposed to drink alcohol. I've done it a few times, more than a few.
Yeah.
But like when it comes down to it, people are humans. Your parents are humans. Everybody's humans. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So you're gonna do things that everybody got their demons. Like I said, like
Everybody's got the
and you gotta it's life, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna make decisions that, there's plenty of people who had premarital, it's a thing, you know.
the thing.
It's a
You know
thing.
that premarital thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it's you can't judge people.
The sex. He's talking about the
Yeah,
sex.
it's a thing,
The thing.
but
That's why too bad whenever he's meeting his ladies, he's like, "So you trying to do the thing?"
man,
I don't know what he's saying to the ladies. I just know it's smooth. That's all I know.
I'm just chilling right now. But
Oh, I know you chilling. You living the good life.
man, I'm just, I just,
You in
know,
discovery mode.
I'm in discovery mode.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, find a new norm. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely out here. I'm looking for the right one.
Mhm.
I'm looking to do the right things, and I want to go about it the right way. So that's kind of where I'm at in life right now. What about you?
That's definitely going to be a conversation topic, and I know that's a topic that I think we wrote down on our list to talk about. But navigating love, or navigating your love life or relationships through your like career as an artist, and I think it plays like it's something that could help you and also kill you. That's a whole nother
Choosing the
conversation. I
right
don't want to
person.
I don't want to I don't want to deviate too much. We're gonna take a short break real quick to shout out our sponsors real quick. DFW Slingshots, Pure Profile Credit Solutions, and then Do It All Entertainment, DIA Media Solutions. Both my companies. There are deals all involving Metro Icon, and you can take advantage of these deals only until the end of March, and then after that, the deals will be. We'll see if they extend or they keep going, but as of right now, take advantage of these deals.
Do it.
Like trust me, man. Like you can get amazing services, or I mean, even just renting a slingshot, man, $50 off just for mentioning Metro
Hey,
Icon.
yo,
If you've never driven a
I
slingshot,
took that slingshot ride, bro. Like when I tell you, exhilarating.
trust me, it is a toy. It is my number one most sought out fun toy that I 100% want to have in my future, and hopefully, I believe I will obtain that. But
You had the whole pastor thing going on. I
I
believe.
believe. I was gonna say I hope, but as I said, I believe. But we'll take a short break. Shout out to our sponsors, and then come back and finish this conversation about vanity and passion.
Peace. We'll be back.
All right, welcome back to the Metro Icon Podcast with Shawn Kay, the Showman,
And I'm
myself.
too bad in the place
Too
to be.
bad in the place to be in Tubad's home in NOLA.
Yeah.
Hanging out here in these NOLA vibes. What do you think is do you feel like it because you were in Chicago and then Dallas and then you're back now in New Orleans, like which you were here before,
Yeah.
right? And then now you're back. Do you feel like the places that you've been at, the culture of the artists in those areas, like I have been, is there such a grave difference as far as the vanity or like the more vain artists or more passionate artists in the different areas that you've been in?
I feel like I've been lucky in all the places I've been. Like it's a lot of good energy. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna you're gonna run into those people who are kind of jerks. I mean, that's in any city.
Jerks. He says jerks. I call them assholes. You a
But
jerk? No, you an asshole.
I
Okay?
mean, that's in any city. But like when it comes down
Well,
to
it's
it,
everywhere. Assholes and jerks. Are
you know what I'm saying? In Chicago, like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of talent, there's a lot of soul.
Mm.
You come down to New Orleans, like these people got feel like crazy. The feel is
Mhm.
crazy. When you go to Dallas, there's so much love. Like it's crazy. Like it's I feel like everywhere I went has molded me in a different way. And me coming and fellowshipping with those people, because I don't think that art is just like I'm giving of me. I feel like I also get something from it.
Yes.
So fellowshipping with these people, like every one of them has given me a little bit of something more that has changed me and molded me. What about you, bro?
You know what? I mean, so I've only lived in two areas. Born and raised and lived most all of my life in Chicago until November 2020. I moved to Dallas, and there's obviously a huge difference between, especially within like the entertainment realm. I mean, Chicago is saturated with talent. There's
Yeah.
so much talent out there, and I'm fortunate enough to know so much of the talent that comes from Chicago, and I have a great relationship with a lot of these people. But coming out to Dallas, again, and I've talked about how I felt like my energy and my vibe wasn't all present in Texas alone, but
Yeah.
Dallas was just this constantly evolving, developing market, and it was bringing in people from all over the world in this area, and it's just like just constantly building and growing.
Yeah.
But it's not known for having a lot of artists and musicians and stuff, but it's still something that is like needed or demanded.
What
And
you know what's so crazy is that it's not known for it, but when you get there,
Yeah, you
there's a bunch
see
of
there's
artists.
so much artists. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you would think that when people like Erica Badu
Mhm.
and her band are stationed and from there, you'd be like, "Oh, yeah," like, you know what I'm saying? That's just it makes sense.
But again, it's like not many people may know that. And then, and if you kind of try and list off a few others, it's like it's not that easy, right? Like you have, like, people from, those big names, and they come from Chicago. H Town, Houston is like known for. I mean, you had Beyonce and Destiny
Yeah.
Child, and whoever else that I can't name off the top of my head right now. But there is a lot more like stronger named artists that came from Houston. And then you have Austin, that's known for being a music and entertainment town. But Dallas has always been,
It's slept on.
it's been slept 100%. And that was, I think, another huge reason why I want to start Metro Icon too, is to showcase these like hidden gems and hidden talents that nobody knows or like knows about.
Yeah,
And I thought, and karaoke is so, I feel honestly like, as big as Chicago is, I feel like karaoke is definitely bigger in DFW than it is in Chicago.
for sure. Yeah.
And like I've just, in comparison, there's so much more like of a liveliness but community that is here, that is in DFW. I keep saying here because I thinking that,
Yeah,
oh, I'm in
exactly.
DFW.
No, it's all good.
But like, so it was just funny, kind of like that was when I moved out here, and I didn't really know. I mean, I had people I knew, but didn't really know anybody as like like friends, like just natural friends.
Mhm.
And I was meeting them, like the ones that I have right now. I met them, most of them, at karaoke.
Nah, I feel that.
And so it's just it's funny just because that you said that, because yes, it people sleep on Dallas like across the country.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
ain't nobody real talent out there,
Shoot,
but
man.
it's
Snarky
just not.
puppies from
Yeah. But yeah, it absolutely. And Dallas has so much. And man, I've been doing those. We been doing the open mics at Green Elephant in downtown Dallas,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
the amount of artists that come
A
through there,
bunch of
man,
talent.
and they're young, man. They're young
Hungry.
and hungry. Yes, and a lot of them are like, they actually have a pretty positive mindset too. It's not so like, gotta be a G and like showcase your most gangsta self, but it's like, like it, and ultimately, depending on their upbringing or what kind of neighborhood they came from, they might have a little bit of those elements, but they are definitely all about the unity of community for the most part, that of the ones that I've met so far.
It's about duality, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good word.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, even if you've had a hard life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like most of us want better that, no matter where you came in with your parents, you want a little bit better than your parents. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying?
mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You might want a lot more, but at the same time, as long as you push a little bit past what your parents did, I think you did something good in this life. And being truthful to that and showing that in your art form, I feel like that's like a real thing, you
That's
know?
very real, man. That's real. And it's again, not everybody that steps into the entertainment industry is gonna make it. That's just facts, like ultimately you could really, really want it. But it might not be within your realm, but there might be a path that is attributed to that passion that is meant for you,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
And so I feel like, like it's almost like like the R&B singer that made it pretty far, but didn't make it to the platform or the status that they wanted to be, and then became like a pastor, you know?
Or like the the artist who made it all the way to the top and decided to become a pastor, Mace.
Mace, don't forget Mace, man. Oh man, and it's, I would love to go to Mace's church.
I,
Isn't it Atlanta?
probably, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I would.
I got to talk to him on Clubhouse one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, he's a cool cat.
I just like, I downloaded Clubhouse. I just felt like, I don't know. It was like Twitter to me. I don't know what it was. I just it
It's
didn't.
the vocal Twitter, real
Yeah.
talk.
But now I'm understanding with this new progression and development that's coming. I'm like, okay, now I gotta understand the strengths I can take, or just the
Man,
overall opportunities
you
that can
missed
come.
the
Okay.
hotness of
Yeah, I did. I
because
did.
Clubhouse when it first came out, like it was like about a year and a half ago, like it was like maybe like September, October
I
of
would say, I mean, I think it
2020.
got its big climb during COVID.
Yeah, so yeah, but like September, October of 2020, oh my gosh, it was dumb.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I got it was one time me and what's his name? Freaking I can't think of his name. I can't think of the cat's
Okay.
name, but we were like literally on there. Like he was a major producer, produced for Jay-Z and everything, and we're on there. And towards the end of it, like it was super late at night. We ended up playing licks back and forth. He was playing on piano, and I
Oh,
was playing,
really?
yeah, I was playing trumpet. It was like dope. I was like, I didn't even realize he was like a real musician. Like he was
Hey,
like,
wait, and you're playing these licks, and it's just through your phone, right?
yeah, we were playing licks back and forth. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, one of Jay-Z's producers.
Well,
As soon as I remember his name,
it's good. We're gonna be in the deep middle of a deep conversation. Then he's gonna be like, ah, and just
yeah, like, cause he's crazy. I'm gonna look up on my phone like when you're talking one time, be
yeah,
like, that's who it was. It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
But I think it's just I think one thing that's super super key to navigating your progression, especially when it comes to your artistry in the industry, um, self awareness.
yeah,
And I think that's just something that the world is just people don't have self awareness. And I think the lack of self awareness is when you let your own personal vanity get the best of you, right?
Ooh, you know what? I don't think that we have lack of self-awareness. I feel like everyone has it. They just don't trust that they don't trust their intuition. And then on top of that, they begin to kind of become bitter at the world because they were taught that from the world.
Hmm. Um, do you think that it's they don't trust their intuition, or do you think it's just a false sense of trust?
Nah, I feel like when you're a child, you're so creative. Everyone, you're born creative. And the world somehow starts to beat that out of you and starts to put you in this box of this is who you are. Even if you're like, nah, like I got these dreams of doing something bigger than that. And you become ordinary when we are born extraordinary.
Word. Oh man, and it absolute facts because again, I think the world. It's so funny because it's like when you as you get older, you realize how the education system doesn't actually educate anybody on real life applications.
Ooh, they don't even teach you taxes.
They don't even teach you taxes, man. And it's funny, like you playing Monopoly with like your little cousins and stuff like that, and you taxing the hell out of them. They start crying. They're like, "Welcome, welcome to life, brother." Like that's what it is.
We all got college debt.
Oh my god. And taxes and interest just kind of keeps tagging on and tagging on, man. I have my balance my I have more in my student loans than like what I took out, and it's just like stupid. And like
It's
even
dumb.
paying towards it, like most student borrowers don't even understand that most of the time when you're making payments, majority of the time, if you're not going above that, you're only paying the interest, and
Yeah,
that balance just keeps going up. And
that's
it's
it.
just, but it's again, that's personal problems, and I feel like now, like my viewpoint to like just college is just so much different now. Like, I mean, and I believe in the experience of college, and I believe in the importance of college, but I don't believe that college is for everyone, and I don't believe that people should just go to college to find themselves.
You know what? Okay, this because I'm kind of on the same page, but this is what I think. I feel like you should because everybody can get a free first year of college. I feel like you should take that free first year, no matter what. So you can go ahead and go get that free year.
And how do you get that first free year?
That first free year, you just like literally, there is a college out there. You could have got straight C's, so you could have got D's, and that you can get at least one free semester from a college. It
Yeah.
could be a community college. Take it.
Most,
But
I believe most state colleges allow that
yeah,
too. Yeah.
exactly. So take that, and then past that, once you get that first semester or year, as soon as you get to the point where you need to start paying, then it's like, okay, cool. Do I need this for my career? If you
Mhm.
don't, go ahead and do your career. And then also if you do need if you do need it for the career path that you're gonna do, decide if you're gonna be serious at this point. Did you actually do your classes?
Right.
And if you need it for, if you're gonna be a doctor or a lawyer, okay, cool. Go ahead and go to school. If you're still not sure at that point, then I think you should take a sabbatical because it's not free anymore.
Right.
But that free first year,
Yep.
take that because it's not gonna come back. When you get older, you're not gonna come back and they be like, here's a free college. No, they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, pay us.
Yeah.
You got
Oh,
money.
yeah. They coming. They're gonna come for that money. You have to pay it. And no, it's absolute, man. Because I mean, here's the thing. And my ass was a dumbass, and I definitely did not operate on that. And went through just my parents' expectations. You have to go
Me
to
too.
college. You
Yeah.
have to go to college. And I did my first 2 years at Harper College in Palatine, Illinois, and then transferred to Columbia College in Chicago, is where I
Okay.
graduated from. But I'm going to an art school. The art schools don't take many of those community college credits, and I had to
That's it.
remake up all of that.
But
And
that's
which
by
is,
design because they want you to pay for it.
yes, they want you to keep
It's a
paying.
money grab.
Yes. And so, but the era that we live in now, man, I just feel like there's so much accessible information and education out there.
YouTube University.
YouTube University, man, you can literally type how to, then whatever, and
And
it'll have a
past
video.
that, we are not getting sponsored by these people, but I'm gonna
Yes.
go ahead and let you know where I learned a lot of stuff, including graphic design. Lynda.com.
Lynda.com.
Yeah, LYNDA.com.
LY. See, that's why you gotta spell it out.
Yeah,
LY.
yeah, but like literally, you can learn any program that you need to, including I think I learned Pro Tools on there. Like they'll teach you anything, like any type.
You're more on Pro Tools than Logic?
Um, yeah, just because I'm a PC guy, Logic is a Mac
Mac
program.
thing. Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, when it comes down to it, it's like you can literally learn anything online, and it's cheaper than college.
Yep.
And most of your college professors have never done the job that they're teaching you.
Well, and you know what? And I got to give it to Columbia on that, because I would say like 80% of the professors were all currently working in that industry they were teaching.
That's a blessing. I
And
went to I
and
went.
yeah, and I felt like that was helped to really understand a lot of like elements,
Yeah,
within their practice. But yes, it's a lot a lot of teachers and stuff, they get their degree and
yeah,
then they just become teachers and haven't actually worked in the
yeah. It's true.
industry at
I went
all.
to Indiana University, and I studied with some great people. I learned a lot of stuff, but at the same token, like I studied with people like a guy by the name of Daniel Parentoni. And when I tell you, like, he's thwarted as one of the greatest tuba teachers in the country, he's kind of a douche, to be honest with you.
Ooh. You know what? You gotta really be a douche if Tubad's gonna name drop somebody and call him a douche.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Even in the last episodes, he's like, I ain't gonna talk. I'm not gonna name drop some people, but these assholes. But like, damn, Daniel.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but the thing about it was the reason why I say that is because again, just like I said, when we were judging these people, I was just like, I don't know if I want to judge them. Some of these people, I know I can tell they're just here for fun, and there's some people who are serious. And I'm like, okay, here's what I do to what you can do to be better. Like it was a time I was taking a lesson with him one time, and he told me to my face, he was like, I'm like working hard, you know what I'm saying? Like I might have been struggling with what was going on at the time. He says to my face, he's like, you're never gonna get it. And I'm just like, yo, like how can you say that
What
to
kind of teacher?
you know what I'm saying?
What kind of
You know what
teacher?
I'm saying? And what's crazy is like,
Mommy, do you think that he said that to like prove him wrong, like put you in a mode to
I don't
prove
know,
him
maybe
wrong?
because I definitely proved him wrong
Yeah.
because like most of the people that was being put in front of me as being like a
Because yeah, I want, yes, it absolutely, that if when you're talking about direction, that is definitely the douchiest way to go about it. 100%. But I do also understand, like, sometimes like that harshness, right? That like you're never gonna get it. And then you have that fuck you mentality where you're like, no, now I'm definitely gonna get it, you
Yeah.
know? And then you come out of it and they're like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for proving me wrong. And you know, and so there are those type of teachers, but
I
it
don't
the
know,
I
maybe. It's a
but
possibility.
did you have any encounter with him once you did get it and make it?
Okay. So,
Yes.
okay, so after college, you know how you talking about therapy and all this other stuff. I had to do therapy on myself, and I had to go through this mental thing of like getting over the shit that I had been through, which in the classical world, it was a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of racistness that I had dealt with in the classical world. And so that's part of why I decided not to go classical, even though I was good enough to play in any orchestra. But I had a situation where I ended up running into him again at the International Tuba and Euphonium Conference. And one of my mentors, one of my idols, somebody that if I wouldn't have seen him on Sesame Street playing tuba, I probably wouldn't have played tuba. Howard Johnson, rest his soul. Shout out Howard Johnson. He passed away a couple years ago.
Rest in
Um,
peace.
he was playing with his band called Gravity, and I had went to iTech that year not to see my old teacher, but to run with him, and I was like trying to get in with his band at the time, and it was being hosted at Indiana University by my ex teacher, and so when I got there, he kind of acted like he didn't like.
Remember you?
Well, I mean, he knew who I was, but he wasn't like being all friendly with me anymore. So I was just like, okay, that's kind
I
of
mean,
weird.
was he ever friendly? He seemed like a douche.
Not really. Okay, yeah. I mean, like he yeah,
He was
but
just being his regular self.
basically, so but the thing about it was is I really wasn't worried about him. So I was just really trying to get in with them. So they did their perform like one of the nights they were the performers of the night, and then afterwards, what was told to us was that it was an open mic jam after their performance, and it was going to be at a local club. And so after the performance, I went up there and talked to him. I was just like, yeah, I'm a mere gray, and I'm like, hey yo, so you remember? He's like, oh yeah, I definitely remember you. And I was like telling him what I had been up to. I had been playing in Chicago at the time, making a living there. He was like, yeah. So after this performance, make sure you come over to the jam session. I want you to go ahead and pick a song, come up and talk to us. So cool. He Howard Johnson himself and Bob Stewart, who's still alive, he's also one of my mentors. He was like, "Hey, yo," he told me the same thing. And so we get there, we get to the thing, and the one thing I had at that point learned about open mic jam sessions, all that kinds of stuff is when you get there, don't be mad about when they call you because again, it's not your gig. And then on top of that, um kind of figure out what the situation is and how the open mic jam is being ran before you pull out your instrument or try to jump on stage. And so I did that. I sat back. I was like chilling, trying to see what was going on. Bob Stewart, again, he's in the band. He walks up to me. He's like, yo, why haven't you pulled out your horn yet? And I'm just like, okay, let me see what's going on. So I not now that he's asked me to pull out my horn at this point.
Mm.
I go, my instrument was sitting in the back. I go pick up my instrument. I pull out my horn and I get ready to walk up towards the stage and tell them what song I want to play. Tell me why Daniel Parentoni walks all the way from the other side of the room. He sees me pull out my horn. He was nowhere near me, runs to the other side of the room and basically yells at me, telling me that this is not your thing and you can't do it. I'm just like,
What?
yes.
Wait, in the middle of this open mic, this dude yells from the
No,
crowd.
no, he came over to where I was and basically berates me about me pulling out my horn and trying to play at an open jam. And he's like, I'm putting this together and all this other stuff. And like literally, it's not like he says it to me quietly. He says it to where other people.
Yeah, I can definitely hear.
Yeah. And so like literally, this isn't my words. Bob Stewart says that's a bitch ass move.
Thank you, Bob.
And so like I'm like, oh, well, okay. Bob Stewart said it, but that still was like kind of messed up.
Mhm.
You know what I did? I didn't leave. Well, actually, I did kind of leave, but I put my horn up. I walked outside. And as I walk outside, one of the guys is like, "Yo, you didn't play. I wanted to see you play."
So you started playing right there?
Right outside the
Yeah, those
door.
doors? Yeah,
And so
dude.
me and another tuba player came out and started playing with me too. And we get to playing and we get a crowd right there outside the doors. This isn't your event anymore, Daniel Parentoni. Tell me why
Mhm.
Daniel Parentoni walks outside, sees us playing. He doesn't say anything to me, but I can see his whole face turn red. He's mad. Douche.
But what are you gonna what can he do?
He can't do
What can
anything.
he do? Like, first off, he already put himself out as, yes, being like a scared little bitch about it in a sense, you know, right?
Yeah,
Because he was limiting you to showcase yourself and what you were capable of, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And really doesn't seem he had no really leg to stand on at an open mic jam session. Like, that's freedom for any musician,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, so it's like, so again, it's like no leg to stand on. Like, that definitely comes off as like personal. Like, it's
Yeah.
not anything other than it just being a personal like attack to just you,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm pretty like I'm I'm sure that he didn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he yelled at anyone else that
Nah.
they couldn't play and all
Exactly.
that.
But and that's kind of the thing. It's like, and I mean, I feel like it was a learning lesson for me too, because when it came down to it, there are gonna be people who tell you you can't do something. There are gonna be people who say you can't play at my venue, you can't be in this movie, you can't be a part of what we're making, but there's always an opening. You can go stand out on a street corner
Oof.
and people are gonna notice what's going on.
Opportunity is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. And man, I'm so glad that you shared that story, dude, because I think that right there is completely on our subject matter, right? I
Yeah.
think a true passionate person would see you, especially if you're an educator, but
Yeah.
a passionate person is all about spreading that joy and showcasing that passion that you ultimately share. But if you carry nothing but vain or vanity in your heart, then you keep it centric to what you want for yourself, and then also put your own emotions before like the respect in
Yeah.
of like the craft or the actual passion of whatever it is that you know you want to do. So man, I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful piece you just shared, man. And again, I think that that goes off to, listen, just because someone that might hold accolades of success within the world or industry that you're in does it, however they may feel about your artistry or what you do or what you're putting out there, it does not dictate your future and your growth of where you can ultimately be. Because again, it could just, you know how it's like sometimes like you don't want to meet your heroes, like they say don't meet your
Oh,
heroes,
yeah, I'd have met a few of them where I was just like,
and then
"Oh,
you get
man,
disappointed. You're like, damn.
you're kind of a bitter old man."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're not that good as I thought you were from this many music or things that
You
I
know,
fell in love
because 'Cause they're
with
all
what you've
human.
done.
We're
Right.
all human.
Abs yes. So again, it's like even like Larry. Like I love Larry and I consider Larry King like that mentor of mine. Larry King was one of the key judges for Metro Icon. Huge contact with me. He came from Chicago and you moved to Texas about a year before I did. But he's got a resume. He's definitely accomplished some incredible things. What was awesome too was when Larry and Tubad met for the first time. When you guys were like talking about the people you knew, and you guys like
We know the
literally,
same
yeah,
people.
all the same people, right? So
Yeah,
you just like that vibe was like set right away.
yeah,
But Larry, you know, I respect Larry so much, and he's extremely critical on the things that I do, especially as a singer, you know.
yeah,
And I don't think I'm the best singer. I know how to sing. I think that I definitely have a vocal integrity that is unique in its own nature, and absolutely I have a ways to go, but I've gotten way better, and it's because just through constant practice. But Larry is very critical on my singing, and there are certain things that he said that like it's so like sometimes such a punch to the gut, and you like a lot of people would be like, man, like I don't know how they would ever want to sing again. But doesn't necessarily mean that like you should stop or it's not meant for you.
And that's one big thing. Like when it comes down to it, people are gonna critique you. You know what I'm saying? Some people are gonna be like trying to ruin your life and they want you to quit. But the majority of people are good, I feel like. And when they give you something, it's not to totally berate you and totally to tear you down.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Take it as advice and just listen to it and you be like, okay, what pieces of this can I take?
Mhm.
Put it back into the art
Mhm.
and then put the art back out. Because again, fail fast. The
Right.
quicker you can take what they give you and give it back to the world, the sooner your art becomes better and better.
Absolutely, man. Truth. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say after that actually, because I mean, what you just said is just absolute, just it's just facts. It's just this whole industry is about discovery, and it's about discovering yourself. You might not have the answers today, but you have to make the efforts you have to make the efforts to find your truth, you
Yeah,
know?
you know what I'm saying? Like when they say write things down, you know what I'm saying? I'm as smart as I am today, but if I'm as smart as I am tomorrow and the day after that and a month from now and a year from now, man, I'm one smart cat then, you know what I'm saying? And people might just see the finished product. Anybody be like, man, I'm not that smart on a regular day, but I'm super smart if you take a
Yo,
year of it.
yo, listen, writing things that man, I came late to the game when it came to doing that, but once I started doing that, and it's funny because even when I have random ideas, like a random idea might not be a good idea today, but it might be a great idea in a year or 2 years or 5 years.
When you've learned something new.
Right, and you can't count on your mind to remember every bit of idea or concept that comes. So I just sometimes like I'm like I don't know what it is, but I'm just gonna write this down. And I've written down ideas that like now have been utilized that I wrote 2 3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, there's something about manifestation. It's like when you manifest and you write down, when you write it down, it becomes a little bit more real than that
Hmm,
idea.
hmm. Yep.
Because when it's just an idea, it's just there. It can vanish at the snap of a finger.
Hmm.
But as soon as you write it down, it's like, oh, it took physical form,
Hmm.
you know?
I guess like call it like the new age thing, but like I write in my phone. Like if you look at my notes.
I mean, yeah, that's
And
true.
yeah, I we look at my notes, and I believe in that too because like I don't like I have a respect for like pen to paper,
Yeah.
I have a respect for it, but it's like disorganized sometimes. It's like if I want to go back to that, right? You're like
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to find this thing you wrote down on this piece of paper that is in the mix of all these others. And I just like the functionality of being able to, type it down. It's in the cloud. So I lose my phone. At least it's on my Mac or I can still retrieve it.
And I think every person has that different part of where they're at with
Yeah,
that.
the
And
process.
I feel like when it comes to process, you have to find a process that works for you. And
Yes.
don't necessarily judge other people because they got a different process. Just understand that, that's true to them. So I mean, I feel like also with working with other people,
Hmm.
understanding that everyone's got their different process, that'll put you in a better place than if you are so stuck in your ways
Hmm.
and being a diva
Hmm.
about,
Or Devo.
diva. Oh, ooh, okay. You've taken it into the
Because
masculine.
yeah, you have to, because diva is more female centric,
Yeah.
and there are divos out there as well.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And I mean, it's just so many good things. And I think yes, it's just self-awareness and understanding, your passion, but making sure that your own inner vanity is not taken over to your love of the game.
Mm,
And just accepting what the position that you're in your journey and falling in love
you gotta
with the journey,
accept
right?
yourself for where you are. And it's okay that you're not where you want to be.
Mhm.
Share the journey,
But
because
don't make excuses for yourself of why you are not where you are. The second you start making excuses, it's because of that or this person or this situation or another. The second you start making excuses for the reason you start to essentially devalue your journey.
yeah,
And Kobe said it best. He's like, the dream is not the championships I've won. The dream is not, all the rings. The dream is not the end of the road. He's like, the dream is the journey. It's
yeah,
the 4 a.m. workouts that I woke up for, and the two a day workouts and the 3 a day workouts, and the days that I didn't feel right in my mind, and I got up anyway, and I just made an effort, and regardless of how I was feeling. He's like, that's the dream.
yeah,
He's like, that's the actual dream. The journey is the dream. And so, I could sit here and be like, oh, 35, I haven't accomplished as much as my family and my friends who have well accomplishing jobs and families and all that.
that's it.
That's just not my journey. It's not my path. And there's no excuse. It's just that's just what was meant for me.
Yeah,
So
I mean, and that's part of it. It's like, yo, you can't judge your path and where you're at are at in your journey off of someone else's. Everybody got
oof,
to run
yeah.
their own race, and the minute you're judging yourself on someone else's race, you've lost already.
It's not you're not even looking at your own road.
Yeah,
You're not looking at your own road, looking at someone else's lane and trying to walk in yours.
yeah,
And then get mad when you run to a pole.
that's
You
it,
know?
man. Yeah,
So, man, beautiful conversation, man. And, so many great stories shared. And we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you guys check us out on all of our social media platforms. Shawn Kay Do It All or Shawn Kay the Showman. Or make it easier for yourselves. Go to the Showman. That's singular, the showman.live. It takes you
yeah.
to my website, which takes you to everything.
And then you can hit me at Too Bad. That's tuba dripping on them, tuba dripping on them,
Hey,
tuba dripping on them, tuba dripping on them,
what?
tuba drip dropping on them,
Uh,
tuba drip dropping on them. That's Too Bad, and that's TUBADRIP on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm about to start using that TikTok more. So go ahead, follow me on there. And also, if you want to go to my website, it's Too Bad Online. That's TUBAD online.com.
Man, I love it when you do. I love when you go on just every episode. But at the end of every episode, consistency has to be the drip drop of the Too Bad drop. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening, paying attention, y'all. And once again, not only sharing and following us, on our pages and also through the audio platforms we're going to be releasing these podcasts on. But put in the comments and let us know what you would like us to talk about. We might not necessarily have all the answers, but we will most definitely present the information or the individuals that can provide those answers.
You know what? And you know what we need to do too? I'm just
Mm.
thinking about we need to have a live show where
Oh,
people
we're
can
gonna
put
be
in
doing that. Oh,
people,
100%. Our next episode 4, is gonna be showcasing our first artist. So make sure you guys catch it. It's gonna be with our top 2 finalists, Sir Scoot and Nix. That definitely wasn't happy with the result, but was accepting. But he definitely has a story to tell,
You know what I'm saying?
and a journey to share. So we're excited to showcase that and to showcase some of his music, but we'll be showcasing our music and material, having some jam sessions.
Mhm.
So there's a lot more to come. Just we wanted you guys to, get in touch with who we are, and why we're doing this show. And I think these first 3 episodes really have, I think, showcased that light really well.
Let's do
I
it.
appreciate you, brother. And
I appreciate you.
I want to. I don't say that enough, but I do appreciate you in this short time that you and I have gotten to know each other, and I'm excited for all that we're going to be putting out there.
On the
Spreading
future
love.
bright. The
The
future
future's
bright.
very bright. It can be cloudy outside right now. NOLA, it's been raining the past 2 days.
Yeah, man. I'm
Uh,
supposed to show you around.
I
It's
know,
raining.
man. We're going to be going to a wet, deserted naval base,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, keep it locked, y'all. This is the Metro Icon Podcast with Shawn Kay, the Showman.
And Too Bad.
Too bad.
We
Thank you
outta
guys
here.
so much, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.
Do it all, baby.